welcome to today's webinar. I am John Gavilan. I am the co-founder and chief technology officer here at BridgePoint Technologies. We all appreciate you taking the time to join us. Today, we're going to dive into practical and exciting topic, which is 10 real-world scenarios solved with AI. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping notes. This session will run about 50 minutes, 50, including time for a Q&A at the end. Your microphones are muted, but if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them into the Q&A panel at the bottom of your screen. We're also recording this session and we'll be uploading it to our website afterward, so you can revisit it or share it with your team later on. At BridgePoint, we have spent over 20 years helping organizations improve the way they work through smart, scalable IT solutions. And in this session, I will walk you through some powerful real-world examples of how AI can solve everyday office challenges, boost your productivity, and make your workday a whole lot easier. So let us jump in. That's me. All right. So we're just going to dive right in. If you were here for the session that I had before, I kind of explained how AI has progressed, what's going on. This time, it's just going to be, we're just going to dive right into different things that you could use. So technical support. The challenge here in the slide is like a very generic thing. Your laptop crashes. The solution is your chat box can diagnose the solution easily. In today's world, you have to basically describe what the issue is to ChatGPT or Grok or Gemini or Claude, and then it'll give you an example. So I'm going to put in a sample prompt over here, and I was thinking of a way to make it so that it's not too simple an error as like I can't print or my printer's not working or I can't connect, because those are things that as of today, AI cannot really help you. They can tell you where to look, but not really go into detail or not fix it right away. There's a lot of companies that are trying to get it to that point, but they're not here yet. So let's dive into, let's say you have an Excel spreadsheet that connects to an Access database or connects to a SQL database or some other database. And then you get an error saying data source name not found and no default driver specified. How do I fix this? And if you notice, it's almost like I'm talking to a help desk person. So I would be pasting that in. And just disclosure, this technical support thing is probably the most boring sample that I'm going to be diving in. Because I was talking to Violet a while ago. I'm never sure if what I'm going to be talking about is something that you guys already know or many people know. I live and breathe this world, so I'm like, oh, yeah, this is probably not going to be interesting. But it could be, depending on what you guys are working on. But basically, so here, I get this very obscure error. How do I fix this? So it tries to get a little detailed, gives you some things to check, check the DSN, check ODBC. A lot of that stuff might be Greek to a lot of you. But at least if you're someone who is willing to try and dig deep, or if you're desperate enough, you could go in here and ask ChatGPT or Grok, and it'll give you pretty detailed answers. So let's do another thing here. Another prompt saying I'm getting an error in Microsoft Word because it contains an invalid bookmark. So really obscure issues where you would usually go to Google and try and figure this out. It could actually give you the results and give you instructions. Because what it's really doing is it's basically going to Google or Bing or whatever other repository it is that you usually go to, and it's summarizing and giving you instructions on how to fix certain things. And I'm not going to let that finish. I guess it's already done. The next one is my VPN won't connect to Windows 11, and I get an error, whatever that error means. working with our managed services people, these are some of the things that they deal with. Your VPN can connect. Notice here I mentioned Windows 11, and I went in a little deeper, putting the actual error. If you're gonna be using an AI to do this, the more detail you put in, the better it's gonna serve you, because it's gonna actually give you like real instructions on how to work on it. And like I said, I think this is the most boring use of AI, but it is a use of AI that you could use every day in your office. Whatever kind of technical support issue you have, before calling the help desk, see if your ChatGPT or your Grok or your Gemini can do it. Maybe save yourself a call. So we go from what I thought was the most boring content to what I think is one of the more interesting pieces. So marketing content. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show a scenario or an example. And in here, I'm going to do it for BridgePoint. So this is going to be my prompt. We're an MSP at https://mybridgepoint.com. And this is important that you put the URL in there, because we're going to be using it later. And then I'm going to tell it my intention. We're launching a new service tier that's priced at $50 per user, which includes the required cybersecurity software, support, and procedures for dentists. So note that I actually narrowed down who my target is. And that's going to be important, especially when you're doing a marketing campaign. And everybody who's done any kind of marketing means, you don't want to boil the ocean. You want to actually find a little puddle and boil that puddle, because chances are that puddle is going to produce more results than if you try to boil the entire ocean. You need to basically look for a particular area or a particular niche to go after. And then the instructions. Create a campaign with 7 touch points that will span 6 months. Notice I'm very detailed here. The more detailed you get, the more detailed it will respond to your prompt, with details of each touchpoint event, such as emails, social media posts, schedules for those posts, follow-ups, and email. So that's quite a mouthful. And let us go into Grok. You'll notice that I have Super Grok over here, as opposed to normal Grok, which is this. And I am biased towards Grok because I think it is the most heavily funded, and it is the most technically superior, but that is a bias of mine. ChatGPT is just as good. So is Gemini, which is gemini.google.com. There's also Claude. Okay, there you go. So these are all competitors. They basically try to outdo each other. Normal Grok looks like this. I went with Super Grok. I'm paying $30 a month. Mostly, really, honestly, for this webinar, because the way the differentiation between the paid Grok and the free Grok is, just to give you a basic example, free Grok gives you 10 prompts per 30 minutes or something like that. Whereas Super Grok or the paid Grok lets you do pretty much an unlimited communication time. And one of the things I'm going to show, this is what I had before. This was my prompt. I want to forget about that one and then start new. So I'm going to go into new chat. Whenever you're starting a new topic, it's always best to do a new chat. In ChatGPT, the new chat is over here. In Gemini, I don't know where it is. Oh, there it is right there. Claude has something else. I'm not going to go into Gemini or Claude right now. Mainly, we're gonna work with Grok. So I have my little cheat sheet here. These are the prompts. So I'm just gonna copy and paste. I'm sure you guys don't want to watch me type. So let me just put that in. So this is our prompt. Foods that spaces and go. So one of the things too with the paid versions, it gives you access to like better models, which is the better brains of the AI. Usually it's not very distinguishable, but in some cases, especially if you go deep, um, you do see a difference in the response. But so as you can see here, I asked for 7 touch points that will span 6 months with details for each touch point event. So it gave me target audience, objective, channels, key message, touch point details, touch point 1. Even gave me a date. I didn't specify that it should start at May or June, but I could have done that. So right now I just guessed and said, okay, you're gonna start next year. The channel is email, this is your objective, and these are the details. So it gave you a subject line that you're gonna put for your email. The content is there, the design, the audience and follow up and all that kind of stuff. So here you actually see this is the actual email that you're going to be sending. So you're basically just going to copy and paste this into your email tool and just let it go. So next one would be touch point 2. Remember, I asked for 7 touch points over a period of 6 months. 7 touch point campaigns within 6 months. Touch point 2, you have a date in there. For LinkedIn, it says post a series of 3 LinkedIn articles with something like this, and you can expand on these. And notice, I asked for dentists. This is actually giving you, it's handing to you the entire campaign on a silver platter, basically. And if you want to actually make it do the post for this, you just copy and paste this, make me a full LinkedIn post for this, and they'll create that for you. Even gives you a schedule. So it's almost like hiring a marketing consultant to say, hey, this is what I want to do. Give me a report or a schedule to do that. And it actually just did it for you. Touch point 4, you do a webinar. Even here, a webinar invitation email, that's considered a touch point. Touch point 5, a direct mail campaign. Nurture email with a case study, even gave you a case study template. Download the full case study. Of course, you could produce the case study in ChatGPT or Grok too. Final push. So yeah, basically it gave you the whole thing that you need to do and use in order to do your campaign. And the next prompt would be, let's say, create a sample email for touch point 1. So let's take a look. What is touch point 1? Touch point 1 is an awareness email blast. So let me make that. And keep in mind, it knows and remembers everything that it responded to. So if I say, create me a sample email for touch point 2, then it'll do that for that result. So this is all HTML, making it look nice. You can actually copy and paste this into your email blast. So this is pretty impressive. It's prior to AI or ChatGPT or any kind of service like this, you would have to have typed all this in and wordsmith it and do all that kind of stuff. You could literally just make this run on autopilot, which I don't know if any of you guys heard of the term AI agents. Agents is exactly the technology that will do just that, just what I mentioned, where you would just make this run on autopilot. You could actually, I haven't seen it done, but theoretically, you can create an agent to execute this campaign for you. Give it all of the permissions, give it all of the connections and the tools that it needs. It can do everything. Which is kind of creepy because you could now literally do everything that a team usually had to. You need to have a team to do all of that. So in the next one, let's navigate to our website and highlight. Okay. So I want to go in a little deeper. So remember I said keep in mind that I put in the website in my first prompt. So I'm going to be a little vague here. I'm just going to say navigate to our website and highlight our testimonials for the email. So let's actually go into the website first. So this is our website here. And if I were to go to, where are the testimonials? Yeah, so these are our testimonials. And I'm telling Grok to go there, look at the website, and highlight our testimonials for this email. So let's do that. So what it's actually doing is it's opening an internal browser, browsing our website, and then based on everything that it found, it is going to get the testimonials, and it's gonna insert it into the email. So let's wait for it to finish. Oh, I see them right here. Yeah, see that? That's pretty cool. Because now it actually went into our website, and this doesn't have to be our website. If you wanted to get really fancy and have a very personalized message for each of their targets, you could say go to the target's website and figure out what the target is looking for or what is missing, and then put it as part of the email. So yeah, so that is, I haven't been moving the slides, so let's see. So a few tips on that. Have a conversation with the AI. So basically argue with it, make it a brainstorming session. Ask questions, elaborate on things, make it create things that you know it can create. It could start building things for you. You could tell it to navigate the website, whether it's yours or competitors, and just use the website as a reference for the task that you have. Customer research. Okay, so we're gonna follow through on the previous topic, the cybersecurity campaign. And here, let's do a new chat. I am going to ask it to create an avatar for the dentists that matches what we are offering. So if any of you are not familiar with an avatar, this is not the movie. This is also not the picture that you have on LinkedIn. Avatar in marketing speak is the profile of your target. So we're doing campaign for dentists, right? So let me create a detailed avatar for the dentists that match what we are offering. I created a new chat, which is the wrong thing to do, because Grok's gonna be like, well, what the hell are you offering? It doesn't know what we're offering. So let me go into my history. And let me go into the cybersecurity campaign for dentists. Now, the reason I went here, as opposed to creating a new chat, is because I already asked it to do certain things, and it already knows what I want to do. So let me just continue on this and put in the prompt. Create a detailed avatar for the dentists that match what we are offering. So like I said, this is not the movie, this is not a picture, this is the profile. Like, who are we going after? In here, it actually gave me a demographic profile. Dentist, 30 to 35 to 50 years old. I don't know where it got that idea, but it somehow thinks it's a good idea to target that age range. Why female as opposed to male? I don't know. This is where the differences between the different training of the AI shows up. Location, suburban or urban areas, particularly in regions with high. The education, practice size, practice type, all of that stuff. Professional background, psychographic profile. I'm not a marketing expert, so I don't want to pretend to understand what all these mean. But this is pretty interesting. Pain points. You want people who follow that, who have those pain points. The goals, the fears, data breach. Everybody's scared of that. We actually had a longtime customer, not with managed services, but with our programming services. We don't handle their IT. They just got breached and had to pay a huge sum. So everybody's working Everybody's worried about that. Decision-making process for channels. I mean, all of that kind of stuff. Daily life, it goes pretty deep. It even gives you an example interaction, which is fine. Like, going back to my earlier comment of I don't know if this is something that everybody already knows how to do or knows to do. To me, this is like, oh yeah, I can do that, but I don't know what everybody else. So I'm just going to show it here. Whether you knew about it or not, I think it's going to be helpful. So the next thing, let's build on to this thing, and here's where it gets very interesting. Now that I have an avatar, I say, give me a list of 10 email addresses for dental practices that match this avatar from a Google search. So let's type that in. At first, I thought, no way, it's not going to give me email addresses, and I was testing this yesterday, and I was so surprised that it actually did. Often limited to generic contacts or forms. So it's not going to give you a person's email address, but if you take a look here, it actually gave you the public email addresses. Las Vegas. So this is all over the country. Which is, I guess it's okay. But let's say I want to narrow it down to Illinois. Of course, it's gonna take the same thing, but it will. If you guys are from the area, you probably know these companies: Bright Smile, Cedar Dental, Naperville, Schaumburg. It's got email addresses, which is great. You're gonna send an email to info@schaumburgdentalstudio.com. It's gonna go straight into the deleted or the junk mail file of these guys. But hey, I mean, you can only get so much. If you really want to get real addresses, there's services where you could get leads for that, and then what you would do is you would drag and drop like a spreadsheet into this chat to upload it, and you could say, okay, based on this avatar and the data that I have, give me a list of so and so. Okay, so now let's go to the next one. For each of these email addresses, and based on Google search, give me the names of the owners of the dental practices. So now we're going deeper. If you're in sales and you're trying to get a list together, especially for a campaign, this would be an excellent starting point. And like I said, if you had, I forget the name, Violet, if you could remember, whatever it is that service that we use to get names and email addresses.
Zoom Info, yeah.
Zoom Info. So we use Zoom Info, and Zoom Info gives us a list of people, phone numbers, emails. You could put all of that stuff into a spreadsheet and then put it in here, and you could say, based on that list, do some research on these people and see how we could approach each one of them. So let's go up. It seems kind of creepy that you could get all this information, but none of this is illegal. I mean, no, Grok is not diving deep and hacking into any of these databases. These are all based on a Google search. So, and based on the Google search. So all of this is public information. None of this is, well, let me rephrase that. All of this is something that you could get on your own just by typing and doing Google searches. But of course, it's going to take you forever to compile it. What AI could do for you is do all of that hard work. This is probably, this list of 10 people and all of this this detailed information will probably take somebody an entire day. Somebody really good would take an entire day, and that would be considered quick. Mid-sized practice, tech savvy, filling the avatar's profile. And keep in mind that whole fitting the avatar's profile, we already narrowed down who we're looking for. So everybody who fits that profile that we want is already filtered down to this. And now let's go into the creepier version that we're going 5 levels of creepy. But it's very effective. So which of these owners are active on social media? Let me copy and paste that. Oh, by the way, did you guys know that you cannot copy and paste from presentation mode in PowerPoint? That's why, I can't like drag this. Oh, I can't drag it and copy it. So that's why I have this little cheat sheet. So I copy, and then we go into our Grok. Let's put that in, and let's see what it does. So what it did in the background is it actually went into Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and looked up all of these people. So Bright Smiles Dental, they regularly post about dental tips and community events. Family Dental, Cedar Dental, Naperville Dental. Still going. Matches, this person's activity matches the avatar. May rely on traditional marketing. Ooh, that's interesting. So it gives you a lot of intel on how to approach these people. So search utilization, we're limited, blah, blah, blah. Limitations, recommendations for active owners. For the 8 active owners, incorporate touchpoint 2. Alternative outreach for inactive owners. Send touchpoint 1 email to this. Yeah, this is pretty deep. Let me just add a prompt here. Which one of these would most likely respond to a sales email or phone call? Let's see. So it's giving it its. So I think I'm gonna call Rich, our sales guy, and say, "Hey, Rich, give Dr. Barb Webster a call, and this is what you're gonna do." So yeah, it's very interesting what AI can do. All of these things are things that you probably wouldn't even be considering doing, or if you are, it's gonna take a while. Now it's just at the tip of your fingertips. So tips here: dig deeper, use the responses that you're given to come up with other questions, such as the last one, which was my last question. I asked it to who would respond to a sales. I could ask it all sorts of things like, who do I call? What time should I call? It's gonna try and give you an answer. May not be accurate, but it's better than your best guess. Because even though AI is guessing, it's guessing with information. You can get the same result. Yeah, keep in mind, none of this is illegal. All of this is public information. These people decided to put all this information out to the world, and you're basically just reading it. Though you're telling an AI to process it, it's essentially the same thing. It's just being done quicker. Now let's go to another boring one. Language translation. It is. I just needed to put this through. Sample RFQ. So let's go through the motion here. And this time I want a new chat because it has nothing to do with the marketing. So I'm gonna create an RFQ in French because I was trying to search for an RFQ, which is a request for quote, on the internet that I could download to show as an example. Couldn't find one, so I just like, let's just make Grok produce it. So it's doing that. And typically the RFQs would be something that you download. What I would have done was you know, from a folder here, I would drag it down here. And then after that, I would say translate it to English. So here's the translation. So if any of you guys ever get an RFQ from French Canada, or from Mexico, or from China, or from somewhere else, and you need to translate it, AI is the way to go. Then the next prompt, let's say create a response in English and then French. So it's doing that. Like I said, there's really nothing to it. At this point, you're going to be like, yeah, whatever, it can translate. Of course it does. Does everything else, right? Why not translate? That seems to be a simple thing. But if you can imagine, though, imagine from 2 years ago, none of this was possible. You're going to be like, holy, whatever, you can't do it. Now it's just there. Next thing, let's talk about data access for all. So this is something that's pretty interesting, and this is something to watch out for in the next year or so. Right now, where we're at with AI is all of these public services are out there. They're free. Sometimes you pay for them. I was listening to the earnings report for NVIDIA last night, and Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, is pushing for enterprise-based AI. And what that means is, let's say law firms or any other firms that have a lot of privacy concerns, they don't want their documents available to the world or uploaded somewhere else. They're going to want to have their own AI server. So NVIDIA is actually working on building a server that they could sell to enterprise, to large customers, so that those customers will have their own private AI. So that's pretty interesting. In this case, though, I'm going to show you what it's capable of on a very small scale, and these are the prompts that I'm going to be doing. So I said here, go to the HR policies workspace. Sorry, those really are notes for me. In Grok, there's something called workspaces, and workspaces are very interesting. In ChatGPT, they're called projects. I don't have a ChatGPT paid account, so I don't see projects. I think you can, if I upgrade plan, I'm going to see the same kind of functionality. But let's go into workspaces. So you can see here, I already created a workspace called HR policies, and I'm just going to go through that. So if you take a look, I have a company equipment policy, a WISP, paid time off document, cell phone policy. Can I click this guy? Oh, there you go. So you can actually see these are Word documents or PDFs, and you could just copy them from wherever you have, wherever you store them, and put them into a workspace. So HR would be a good starting point if you want to play with this, and if you are not overly concerned with privacy. Of course, Grok is never going to sell this information. At least not. They won't let me know about it, because otherwise, none of them are gonna publicly disclose their information. This is actually why the whole private AI is becoming very popular, and it's going to be very profitable for a lot of people. But if you, in this example, I uploaded these 6 documents. These are all like 2008 policies, so they're probably all obsolete right now. And let me let's pretend that I am an employee and I want to say wrong paste. How many PTO days do I have as a salaried employee? So now what it's gonna do is it's going to basically, I mean, I know where the information is. It's in this handbook. But because Grok knows about these 6 documents, or ChatGPT can do the same thing, by the way. It actually read it and then produced all of the information you need. Up to 3 years of service, 4th, 5th year service, blah, 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 PTO appearance here, blah. So all the information you need. So this doesn't have to be, today you can use this if you are a small firm and you have all of these policies written in documents. You don't have to make it available to all of your people, but typically somebody would ask your admin or your accountant or your controller, whoever it is manages these types of things. And then the person would have to do some research and then respond. Well, if you want to make it quick, upload all of this documentation into your into a workspace and then just ask. And then basically I would just take whatever this is and then paste it. If you want to get very detailed and you have like a spreadsheet of the actual PTO requests and PTO that people have taken, upload that as part of this. And say for Sally Smith, for example, how much more PTO does she have for 2025? And it will actually give you the results. Another thing we could ask, so keep note, these are documents that are already there. You did not see me upload it because I pre-uploaded it. I could do a new chat on the HR policies and say, can I reimburse my cell phone? So one of your employees or one of your people sends you an email, say, hey, I'm using my cell phone for work. What happened? It's disappeared. Can I reimburse it? Based on the policy, this is the answer. You get the idea. It already knows the answer, so it provides it for you. Let's do another one. Say, are there any restrictions for me posting on TikTok? Well, not for me, for an employee. So it's doing its thinking. It's getting a little slow on me. All right, there you go. If you remember, those documents that I mentioned were from 2008. TikTok didn't just, TikTok wasn't available until like 3 or 4 years ago. So it knows it's social media, doing all of these, it's now responding based on the policy. It's pretty accurate. So that's one of the other things you could do. So just going back on where I see this is heading. Right now, I uploaded all of the documents into my workspace, and I can add more. Upload any more documents in there, all of these things, board meeting minutes, whatever that is. And all of these is basically context to your AI. One of the things here, you notice my shirt, it's at Toodlebox. Toodlebox is the company that I'm working on with BridgePoint. This is exactly what we're building for small business. We are building a Toodlebox, which is a piece of hardware that you could have installed in your server closet or somewhere else, or maybe in Azure if you want, where it could have your documents and all of your submissions in Toodlebox, and you could converse with it. Basically have the same functionality, but on a private server. And the target is not for enterprise, although enterprise can do it. Target is basically for small to medium-sized businesses. So let us now go into the next one. drafting contracts and SOWs. So we do this quite a bit. What we typically do is we take an old SOW and an old contract, do a search and replace the name of the customer or the prospect with a new one. So in here, I should have done this as a sample, but I could have uploaded a sample SOW and say use the sample included as a template, and it will do that. But since I did not, let's just go with this raw. So here, create a contract and statement of work for a residential asphalt company to repave a driveway of a 2-car garage in the village of Huntley. That's where I'm from. That's why I put it in. That's Huntley, not Naperville, not Downers Grove. It's the first thing that came to mind. So basically, it's telling you what it's thinking. I think this is just one nice way to make people pass the time while it's actually doing a whole bunch of work in the background that takes forever to do. It's one of those programmer's tricks, like make it look like it's doing something so people don't get bored and think that it's broken. And what do you know? This looks better than what I did before yesterday. So contract and statement of work. Disagreement by fictitious solutions, which is you, the client, project overview, compensation, terms and conditions, contract. So you could now you could literally just send this over and it's ready to go. And let me see, let me change something here. I want 50% deposit, not 30%. I'm looking at this. Oh, it's doing it again. So it's gonna try to do that all over again. So while that's doing that, you guys know what it's gonna do. It's just gonna change the document. $50% deposit. And it's got the amounts. You can change the amounts, basically change anything you want in the contract, and it'll do it for you. I did another one, but I'm gonna skip that in the interest of time. Summarizing documents. So 50-page documents reduced to key insights. So let's do this. So I'm actually going to be showing you how to upload the document. It's no big deal. Let me do a new chat. This one. And here's my documents. Let me do the snowplow removal. I'm just going to drag it. And then I'm going to say, summarize what this document is about. So it's reading that guy. So this is a pretty big document, by the way. While it's coming up with that, let me show you what it looks like. So I download this from McHenry County College. Whole bunch of stuff. When we were starting out at BridgePoint, probably 5 years in, we're like, hey, where can we get more business? Let's look at RFPs from the government. And we're like, okay, yeah, great. There's a whole bunch of them, and we could probably win. And then we started downloading these RFQs, and we started reading them. And I'm like, man, it's gonna take me 3 days to figure out what the heck they want and what it is. And there's so many requirements and all that kind of stuff. It was so much work that we're like, didn't even bother with RFQs. If this is something that you are looking to do, this makes it very easy. If you have a site, there's a site out there for RFQs that I forget the name. If you're interested, send over a message, and what we'll do is I'll research it again and figure out a way to send it to you. But basically, you take the RFQ and you ask it questions. So in here, the question I asked is which companies in the area are qualified. So it actually, I could have said who would be my competitors and it would have given me the same results. So it's giving all of that result, and I'm not gonna let it finish. You guys know the deal. Next thing I'm gonna say is how much potential revenue is possible. And let's take a look at pricing structure. So it's actually doing cost and profit analysis for you, giving you scenarios and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so you get the deal. It's one way for you to be able to, dig down on a particular document. Right now, this is an RFQ. It could be whatever kind of document. It could be a legal document that you're trying to build. It could be a statement of work from somebody, or a master services agreement. And it just gives you all that information. So let me do another one, which some of you may have been here for the last session, but for those who haven't, I think this is worth showing, and maybe show again, because I was so surprised that it could actually do this. So if you have been in charge at all of producing a shift for a bunch of people who have their own requirements, I can only work Mondays and Tuesdays from this time to that time, but yet you still have to produce a shift. I uploaded the availability spreadsheet, and what's inside there is I have 5 people, and this is their availability. It's typical. I mean, some of them can work pretty much every day. Some of them can only do certain days and certain hours. So I uploaded that guy. And let me put a prompt, and I'll read it out. So given the availability spreadsheet, create a weekly shift schedule where we can have coverage from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day, 9 p.m. to 5 p.m. We need 2 people. No person can work more than 32 hours. So at first I thought, no way. This is, I mean, I'm a programmer, and just thinking about how to do this makes my head hurt. This is a very complicated problem to try and figure out. It seems simple, but it's not. If you've ever done this, this is very headache inducing. You're gonna be like, I can't put it here, I can't put it there because this person can't work after 7. So it's doing all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it did it. Monday to Wednesday, this is the schedule. And then you're gonna get a call from Jill saying, oh, I can't work on Wednesday. So I can just do that. And fill it. Without Jill, no one. It doesn't know. I guess it could only work with what you have. So yeah, if you've ever needed to do a shift, use AI. Very easy. It's one less headache to worry about.
John, thank you for sharing that information. I know we have a few comments in the Q&A, if you want to take a look at that.
Let's see, where's that guy? Q&A. Do any of our clients deploy Copilot for security purposes? I don't know about security purposes. They do play around with Copilot though. So the answer I would say is no, not for security purposes. Is this relevant to me personally? Love this concept. I don't know which one you're referring to, but I'm glad you found this relevant. Uploading client documents to LLM is against ABA rules for law firms. Precisely. This is why the NVIDIA's announcement last night that they are going to be focusing on enterprise and local AI servers is huge. This is why the stock jumped 20% because they are focusing on that. It's not going to be cheap, but it's going to be available. You cannot upload any kind of documents. Law firms specifically. There's medical also, and just some people are. Let me show you what I'm reading. Some people are just hesitant to upload anything, so you don't really want anything to upload. And when you're saying client documents to an LLM, I don't know what the rules are. Maybe you could clarify this, because the LLM is assumed to be a public server. If the server is yours and it's physically in your office, does this rule still count? LLMs do not. A local AI does not broadcast what you upload anywhere else. It's only available there. There is no external communication unless you tell it to say navigate to this website. And even then, all it's going to do is it's going to read information. It will never re-upload anything anywhere else. At least not to date. There is no technology that does that, simply because there's no purpose. It doesn't have a reason to do that. Hopefully I addressed those questions, and I think we have time for one more. Answering vendor questionnaires. So this is one of my personal pains. So a vendor questionnaire is us for an IT firm. Your customers typically have checklists for working with vendors, like a vendor assessment. So in this form, has questions like, does your company hold active security certifications, blah, 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 yes, no. All of these questions, I'm sure you guys have run into this before, especially when you're trying to win new business. And you look at this and I'm like, gotta fill out all these things. And it's in their format, and it's, I gotta think about this. I don't know the answer to this. Of course, AI is not gonna know every answer, but let me just put in a prompt and show you what you could do with this. First, let's upload this document. This vendor assessment, I am going to put it in here. And then the question that I have is going to be, provide answers to the attached questionnaire. Indicate that we are compliant with everything. So of course, that's almost never the case. But just for example's sake, let me just do that. I don't think, oh yeah, I did. So I read the attachment, all of these questions. There's, do I have it still open? No, I don't. Let me open it so you can see what we're dealing with. It's doing that in the background. What is the scope? Does the organization have a policy? If no, you can say, okay, for question whatever, the answer is no, and this is my policy. Give it a little bit more details. All these questions, they're like, eye-rolling questions that you have to answer if you want the business. They probably don't care, but it's a checklist that they need to do for insurance purposes, for compliance. And this is just a fact of life right now. So if you notice here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 20 questions. It actually addressed each one. Let's go to a random one. Application software security. Does your organization have a company policy? Number 18. Oh, there you go. So your response is yes, absolutely. And our secure SLDC policy includes code review, static analysis, and all of that other extra nicely worded stuff. Yeah, so this is one other thing that you can do. Of course, you don't always want to say you're compliant with everything, because that's almost never true. But if you are, then feel free to do that. Oh, and responding to RFQs, the very last one. So let's return to the history of the document summary of the snowplow. So remember the story I had a while ago of us stopping RFQs because it's just too much hassle. Here, let me go back to our history. By the way, let me take a step back. There's going to be something like this, history in Grok. In ChatGPT, it's going to be somewhere here. The history is going to show up over here. But let me go back to my history. So this is every chat that I had. Let's go to the snow removal RFP. This is where I say I uploaded the RFP for the snow removal, asked which companies were qualified, and then let's say, okay, let me take a chance and create a formal response to this RFQ. And it's going to look at all of the requirements, all of the things that it needs for you to respond properly. And it's going to give you something that's ready for you to submit. Gives you all of that fluff that they're never going to read. They probably know who's going to win this contract already anyway. But hey, it cost you 1 minute to produce, right? So why not? So yeah, that is the last of the samples that I have. I could go on and on. There's pretty much the sky's the limit. Really, is what it can do. It's very, very intelligent. You provided all the information you need, and it could generate content like the best expert you have in whatever topic you wanted to do. So yeah, if there are any other questions, now is the time to ask. Okay. So I take it everything makes sense, and what we're gonna do is wrap it up. So that wraps up today's webinar. Thank you again for spending time with us. A quick reminder, full recording of this session will be available soon on our BridgePoint Technologies website. So you can revisit it or share it with your team. If you're new to BridgePoint, we're a managed IT service provider with over 20 years experience helping organizations improve their cybersecurity, IT support, and overall tech strategy. If you're interested in learning more about how we can support your team, whether it's AI, infrastructure, day-to-day operations, we're basically going to be your help desk, your network people. Please reach out to Rich Rosalia, our VP of sales, and see the contact information showing on the screen. You can reach out to me, but I'm not really a sales guy. I'm a techie, and I'll definitely forward on your information to Rich. Thank you again for joining us, and have a great afternoon.